Hello, everyone, to everyone watching now, to everyone watching the replay. Thank you for joining us. My name's Andrea Thompson. I'm the founder and director of the Film Girl Film Festival, now streaming through March 31st, so still a little bit of time. And I am fortunate enough to be here with some of the lovely ladies from the shorts that screen before our features. So, ladies, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to start out by, in our usual way, by just going around asking you all to introduce yourselves and the name of your film. So, Sarah, can we start with you?
Yes. Fra, lo dico in italiano e mi aiuti.
Mhm.
Allora, io sono la regista dei titoli che vorrei. È stato un documentary che abbiamo girato in occasione del mio cortometraggio di laurea, come corto di tesi nel 2020. Partendo dall'ispirazione del film mai realizzato di Federico Fellini, ovvero Il viaggio di G. Mastorna. E da lì ho deciso di mettere giù, di realizzare un progetto che tenesse conto di questo progetto di Fellini e di quello che stavo realizzando io come studentessa, e quindi ho creato un documentary. Se devo dire qualcosa, Fra...
Se mi vuoi ripetere il nome di il film di Fellini?
Il viaggio di G. Mastorna. Mai realizzato.
Di Gina Storna. Ok.
G. Mastorna.
Okay. So, Sarah introduced herself. I am Sara Signorino. She is Sara Signorino. And she directed I titoli che vorrei. And it was a mockumentary made as a short movie for the thesis of her master degree in 2020. And the movie is the short movie is based on another kind of movie that was never made, that is Mastorna.
Il viaggio di G. Mastorna,
by Fellini. And it's a project that she wanted to realize as a student. And so this is basically it.
Okay, thank you. And Francesca, thank you, Sarah. And Francesca, you are Sarah's translator, but you also had a role in the film, albeit behind the scenes. Could you?
Well, I was the script supervisor to the short movie, and it was really interesting to work with Sarah because she's a great director with a lot of patience, and there were some interesting, how could I say that? So the script was really well written, so I did not have any problems with all the work to do before the short, and during the short it was a really fun environment. The actor was really good, and
Excellent.
Yes, it was really all well mixed, so there were no really great problems with the continuity, and it was pretty fun and interesting. Not easy, but manageable.
Excellent. And thank you for coming and providing translation. If you need us to stop for translation, please by all means tell us.
Okay, thank you.
And Nicola, why don't you introduce your film and also give a brief synopsis of it?
Yes, my name is Nicola Rose. I'm the director and producer of Biff and Me, which is a short film that has to do with a 14-year-old boy who is he seems brash and tough on the outside, but this hides a feminine side beneath, and it has to do with him and the 14-year-old girl that helps him inadvertently discover his feminine side. It's a short comedy.
It's quite sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last but by no means least, Gurinder, can you please, and once again, sorry if I didn't pronounce your name correctly, feel free to correct me. Can you tell us your film and give a brief synopsis as well?
Absolutely. Thanks, Andrea. Actually, you're pronouncing it perfectly.
Great.
So my name is Gurinder Singh, and I'm the writer and producer and director of Rising Lotus. It's a short film about a South Asian Indian immigrant woman who's stuck in an abusive marriage, and she's unable to get out. And it's when her son's life is in danger that she finally musters the energy to leave and goes on her journey. And through a little bit of a little bit of luck and some perseverance, they're able to just mark a new life and begin a new life.
Yes, it's quite an intense one. Thank you.
Yeah.
So all of your films, quite inadvertently, are actually about people who are kind of trying to step out of the roles that have been deemed for them, whether by other people, economics, or their circumstances, or gender, obviously. So I want to start with Sarah and Francesca. Obviously, your short film has a lot of roots in Italian cinema. So I was wondering if there was anything in particular that inspired you to tell this kind of story.
Ok, quindi il nostro cortometraggio ha molte radici, si vede nel cinema italiano, e quindi voleva sapere che cosa ha ispirato per la realizzazione.
Come genere?
What inspired Sarah to write the short, as in the genre or the main story?
You know what? Both.
Ok.
Entrambe.
Allora, fondamentalmente è stato il nostro insegnante Cristian Angeli che con questo genere del mockumentary mi ha attratto e mi ha spinto a voler creare di più. Poi vabbè, Federico Fellini è uno dei maestri italiani, ma a cui io sinceramente non pensavo di arrivare a ispirarmi per la tesi, nel senso non pensavo di riuscire a prendere in considerazione così tanto di lui. E poi puoi magari specificare che il genere, che comunque non è molto esplorato in Italia, è stato c'è qualcosa ma non abbastanza, è stato veramente realizzarlo anche con voi, con la troupe, perché ci ha permesso di lavorare in divenire. Avevamo sì un testo, ma siamo stati anche liberi di come dire, prenderci tutte le libertà sul momento delle riprese. Dimmi se devo dire qualche altra cosa o se...
Mi sembra che così sia chiaro, poi eventualmente vediamo.
Sì,
So basically, one of the main inspiration was our teacher, Christian Angeli, and because he inspired us for the genre to make, and it was enough to convince Sarah to work on that kind of genre. Also, she took a lot of inspiration from Federico Fellini, and she didn't think she would take so much inspiration for her thesis, or that she could get so much from him, but that happened, and this is the job done with the short movie. And also, the kind of genre is not really a genre, a famous kind of genre in Italy. You have really very very little presence of mockumentary in Italy, and so it was really fun to do it with the rest of the troupe, because we didn't really respect at all the script. So the script was well written, but we kind of like to improvise, also because there is Sarah in the short movie that is the interviewer of the protagonist, and that was something that was in the we wanted to work on it, and at the end it was on the final work. And so this is mainly this.
Yes, it was a very Italian, extremely Italian mockumentary. Yes. Thank you. And so yes, thank you. Job well accomplished. And Nicola, wow, you're short on a completely different note about these two seemingly very different characters, this kind of shy, nerdy girl and this brash, seemingly very tough guy with a bullying reputation who both want to be beauty queens.
Yes, that's your
So
shared secret.
where did you get the idea to tell this?
It's funny. I actually, it has nothing to do with my personal experience whatsoever. So it was something quite outside of my comfort zone. But the reason I wanted to tell it was because I had recently seen a film. It was a really well done film, a short film that had to do with, it was a similar premise. It had to do with a boy who was a bully. It was a much more serious film. It was a German film, which is part of why it was a much more serious film. Had to do with this boy who was a bully, but a girl, helped him to discover his feminine side. And there is where the similarities ended, because this one, it was so well made, but it felt so heavy and so sad, and just as though kind of, it was supposed to be uplifting, but you came out feeling worse than when you went in. And it was a good film. I'm not knocking the film. I don't even remember its title, but I remember that it was, I looked at it and I thought, this is so well made. And there's something about this story which is so human and so universal. We're not who society and colleagues and peers and other kids and adults want us to be, but we're also, when you're 14, you're not even sure who you are yet. You might just not know who you aren't. And I thought, this is actually, it is quite a heavy topic, but I want to treat it with lightness and with comedy, not to seem like we're making fun of people, LGBTQ kids. I mean, certainly not ever, but there is also something absurd in this thing of self-discovery and realizing, oh, I'm not at all this person that I'm expected to be. There's something that's sort of absurdist about it. So I wanted to find that sweet spot where, I would not be applying too much gravity to it, and at the same time showing where, it's obviously over the top. It's over the top on purpose, just to show the ridiculousness of the situation, and yet through it there's this friendship that they're probably going to be friends for life.
Yes, it's a very sweet, very funny, unexpected story. So
thank you.
Yes, this phrase has been tainted, but once again, mission accomplished.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Gurinder, on a completely different note, your short film about this woman fleeing an abusive marriage, what inspired this? Obviously it's a story that could be told in many locations and cultures, but sadly enough, but did anyone in particular inspire you to tell this story, or what pushed you to make this?
No, absolutely. Yes. Actually, so some of it is just loosely based off of my mother, not necessarily her story per se, but just things in her life that I've witnessed. And then I've also in the community have seen other women in these relationships where they feel like they can't get out. And that's more on a physical level. And then I myself was in something really terrible. And that was
I'm sorry.
Emotional. I think it was more of an emotional type of a situation where I felt stuck. And so I think a lot of it was also during the time when I was writing it, I was trying to get out of that tough relationship. And so this was kind of that outlet for it. But really, it's the woman in that story is inspired by my mother and her strength and just perseverance, and the way my mother can kind of finds her strength in her children. And so it was really a bit of an homage to her.
It was quite a wonderful one, because yes, those characters are very complex and they're not simplistic victims. So yeah, once again, goal reached. And Sarah and Francesca, one thing that also really stirred my curiosity about your story is that, well, it was about basically failure. So why did you decide to tell that kind of story?
E perché hai deciso di raccontare una storia che ha come tema principale il fallimento?
Ok, bella domanda. Puoi specificare che la mia tutor, che è stata Anne Ritt Ciccone, che mi ha seguito nel progetto, ci ha visto molto delle mie preoccupazioni che ha inserito qui, che io ho inserito qui. Questo sul fatto personale. Poi perché sono molto attratta da quanto la persona, un artista in generale, sia così vulnerabile di fronte alla morte. Questo perché, ispirandomi a quello che è successo a Fellini, lui non ha mai realizzato questo film perché era stato un po' un presagio di morte. Aveva tentato varie volte di realizzarlo, ma ogni volta che si accingeva a concretizzare questo progetto sfiorava letteralmente la morte. Quindi il fallimento è anche la paura dell'essere umano, ancora di più dell'artista, di fronte alla morte e alla paura in generale.
Okay, so on a personal side, the tutor of Sarah, Neri Ciccone, really saw some of the main fears of Sarah herself on the short movie, and so when she presented the project, the script, it was really the failure, the fear of the failure that Sarah has herself. And also on another side, it's a lot like the Fellini kind of situation, because it's the fear of the failure of the artist, because the artist is so vulnerable and so scared of failure. And for example, Fellini never realized the movie Sarah took inspiration from, that is Il viaggio di G. Mastorna, because every single time he tried to do that, it was there was a death sentence, like he nearly touched death, and so he never realized it. And so it's simply this: many times we see artists and we forget to see how vulnerable they are, how scared of failure. And one of the main fear of the artist is also death itself. So it's all a big fear of failure in everything, in your projects, in your life, as it for the life completement. So,
Grazie, Fra.
Yes, thank
I
you.
don't know
Yes,
if it was clear.
that's very true. Thank you. And Nicola, that's in a sense of what your film is kind of about too. It's a very nice, sweet ending, but not in a conventional way where they overcome the odds and blow everyone away with a great victory. Spoilers, trying to avoid spoilers. But what made you decide to go that route?
In the sense of not going for quite the same feel-good ending that it might be pointing toward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think looking back on this film through sort of the haze of the work I've done since then, I remember just wanting to subvert expectations at every step, because the whole thing is based on these really large character cliches. That's the only way you can tell a story like that in 14 minutes, is sort of broad strokes.
Funny
So-
broad strokes, though.
What's that?
Funny broad strokes, though.
Funny broad stroke. Well, yeah, hopefully, right? So with Biff, with Charlotte, with Biff's dad, all of those characters, I wanted us to think, oh, well, they're going to act this way. Clearly this is what's going to happen, and it's never what happens. And I think the ending was yet another. Yes, definitely the ending. In fact, since we're spoiling everything anyway, what the heck?
Not everything.
Not everything, but the fact that they don't there's no big win for them, but the win is just it's for themselves. The win is, oh, they've completed this performance in front of people. It's this marks this divide between the old world and the new. They're going to be able to get on with their lives the way they call the shots.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it was just about at every turn for me wanting to do something that wasn't quite what I knew the audience would expect, because it was so easy to sort of guess where that was going, and hopefully that's not where it went.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising and very funny, I have to say. And again, on a completely different note, Gurinder, your short film about this woman and her son just basically struggling to manage. I can see COVID definitely affected this story you told. So, like, how much did the story change due to COVID? Is, I guess, my question.
So actually, the story was written during COVID. So I think that's really why there was a lot of that kind of inspiration, and it was written in the very early days of COVID. So, you know, I think in hindsight, a lot of that, you know, if I were to write it again, probably would have changed. But the initial part, I mean, there was the general concept of, okay, the mother and the son and their struggle. And I think some of it also was because of logistically, there were a lot of things that changed as well because we made it during COVID. So how are we going to, you know, kind of do the whole COVID protocols and how do we do our table reads and those types of things that logistically changed. But from a story perspective, I think it was inspired also by COVID because of just everything that we were feeling at the time.
And you can definitely see that. So thank you. Yeah, I say that a lot, but that's what your answers inspired me to say. Thank you.
No.
And Sarah, your short film, as you've mentioned, it's obviously inspired by Italian cinema and Fellini in particular. So was it kind of nerve-wracking making a film that was so obviously kind of an homage to such a big director, a big, famous, beloved director?
Ti ha messo, diciamo, sei stata nervosa sapendo che tu stavi facendo un qualcosa che era un omaggio a un grande regista come Fellini?
Inizialmente sì, perché il cortometraggio poi ha preso una sua direzione quando in realtà la mia idea iniziale era proprio cercare di riproporre qualche scena del viaggio di Gima Storna che specifica che questa sceneggiatura da qualche anno è diventata un romanzo, quindi noi abbiamo questo scritto. Inizialmente avevo quest'idea, però effettivamente era troppo, cioè se non ce l'ha fatta lui cosa potevo fare io ovviamente. E poi in realtà mi sono sentita molto in sintonia perché sì, resto ovviamente su un pianeta diverso, Fellini e non c'è nessun modo effettivo per rendergli omaggio abbastanza, però mi sono divertita comunque a giocare come lui ed attingere nei sogni le mie ispirazioni. Come lui anch'io mi scrivevo i sogni e li ho pescati per realizzare questo cortometraggio, quindi in soggezione inizialmente, poi mi sono divertita e sapendo il personaggio avrebbe gradito anche lui che qualcuno si divertisse con le sue storie, con le sue avventure e disavventure. Se ti è sfuggito qualcosa ti ripeto.
Okay, so initially, yes, it was nerve-wracking because it's obviously a great difference because let's say Sarah knows she's on a very different planet from Fellini because Fellini is Fellini and Sarah is Sarah. But she also took really great inspiration from the fact that this famous movie that was never made is actually now a book on which she started to take some of the inspirations because the short movie initially she didn't think it would get its own way on the word. So it was just like I think one second, Sara, diciamo
Sì.
si può dire che all'inizio poteva essere come una sorta di esercizio sul libro di Gima Storna, il tuo corto?
Sì, chiamalo così, perché
so
volevo prendere quelle scene da ricreare l'atmosfera, per ricreare l'atmosfera, sì, quindi fondamentalmente sì, ma poi ha cambiato direzione nettamente.
So initially the book was an inspiration for all the scenes to recreate in the short movie, just like a couple of them, as in an exercise, like. And but then she realized that she has this common thing with Fellini, where she also writes her dreams, and where she knows that Fellini, at the end of the day, was just having fun, realizing all the movies he was making. And so she thought, well, maybe Fellini would be happy to know that someone is also having fun realizing all of this. So at the beginning, yes, it was. She was really nervous, and it was really a lot to handle. But then she was just having fun and thinking that taking such an inspiration was just a really great homage without all the anxiety behind it.
Anche perché, scusa Franci, precisa, ovviamente sono due cose nettamente diverse, è nato da lì, l'ispirazione è quella, però ovviamente ogni cosa poi ha la sua storia e fa il suo corso, senza, cioè
Yes,
imparagonabile a Fellini, ovviamente.
of course, she wants to specify that she took a lot of inspiration from the story of Gemma Storna, but at the end, it's a completely different thing. It's not like that. It's not Fellini, so it took his own way, and you still cannot really compare the work she's done with what Fellini did. So it's just to specify that it's two different things.
Yes, it's very much its own thing, and the fact they like to have fun, I think, is a wonderful way to look at it. Definitely. And Nicola, I want to ask, on a completely different track, I want to ask you about how you cast your film, because part of the reason why your film is so enjoyable is the incredible chemistry between your cast. So
Yeah, they really are something else. These two actors, this is just a happy accident. These two people, I'm speaking about the actual actors, they're really cut from the same cloth. This was not done on purpose. I knew her a little. I didn't know him. She had been an extra in a previous movie that I did, and that was because she auditioned for it, and I would have loved to use her. And it was one of those cases where, like, you know, you're making the wrong decision not to use this person, and yet there is no role for this person. So, you know, I was like, what do I do? And so I just thought, well, you know what? I'm going to stay in touch with this kid and her family and just say, okay, hold this thought. I'm going to write a movie for her at some point. And, you know, I sort of put this on the back burner. And I did. I wrote the role for her. Biff was a lot harder to find because we needed this large, burly, you know, high school looking kid, but who could also be sensitive and dance and sing to an extent, and who could also burp on command. So, you know, many requirements. Many requirements here, and that was so difficult. But when I found him, the two of them, it was very slow because he's extremely shy and she's not at all shy. So she really drew him out of his shell. Yeah, it's
I wouldn't have guessed he was shy.
Oh my God, he's so shy. Very, very gentle soul, and very introverted. And actually, drawing him out was no mean feat, which, you know, I don't say that as an insult. There's so much inside of this actor, but it's very hard to, you know, say it's okay to, it's actually okay to express this. This is what I need you to do, you know. Obviously he got there and then some, but he, both of them are actually singer-songwriters, which is, you know,
wonderful.
This really random thing that these two kids have in common. The dad is also, the guy who plays the dad, he's an actor, puppeteer, singer. They all have these other talents beyond. They're just all these very unique square peg oddball people, and I think that's what's showing, is just that they're sort of birds of a feather in this very bizarre way that I could not have done on purpose, you know. But especially
on screen
the two
and
kids
off.
are close friends.
Yeah. On screen and off, it seems. And Gurinder, I'm about to ask you the same question, but before I do, I want to check in. Sarah, Francesca, do you have to leave? Remember you said you had to...
Yes. Sara, che dici? Tu ce la fai a continuare da sola?
Ci provo.
Sei sicura?
Per quanto possibile, sì, ti voglio liberare, sì.
Ok, non ti preoccupare, allora ce la fai? Vai. In bocca al
Grazie,
lupo.
grazie,
Okay,
bravo
so I just say good. No, how do you say this? Wishes to go well by herself to Sarah. I don't know how to say it. And I really thank you for the opportunity. I love to answer, to be the translator, and also be present as a member of the troupe.
Yes.
And
Excellent.
so.
Well, Well, before you guys go, I did want to ask my traditional last question to you two first.
Okay.
Is there any projects you're working on now that you want to shout out?
Se ci sono lavori a cui stiamo lavorando adesso, per il momento no.
Per te penso che sia. Prima di andartene.
It's question for the both of us, as in working together, or it's just for me or just for
For you.
Sara?
For you.
Well, the question was for Sarah, but I would love to ask you that question as well.
Ok, no, ok, era quindi per te e per me. Non so se tu hai qualche progetto.
Spero di realizzare ancora qualcosa legato all'artista che ha ispirato Fellini per questo progetto del viaggio di Gimastorna e spero di poter realizzare un altro cortometraggio su questa linea.
Ok, so Sara really wants
Non a breve, purtroppo non è
She's
possibile ora.
working, it's not going to be soon, but she's working on a project on the same direction of the previous short, so like I titoli che vorrei, so always based on the artist that inspired Fellini for the Viaggio di Gimastorna. So she's doing that.
And you, Fra?
At the moment, so I am a script supervisor, but I also like to write. And I am working on a project with a friend of mine, but for me personally, I'm writing something. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. I have to work on it really hard. And when I have time, who knows, maybe one day I'll do that. I'll do that short that is in my pocket, in my closet since really the beginning of university, so a long time ago.
Best of luck. And we're coming out of the
Thank you.
pandemic, so now's a great time to do it.
Let's hope, yes.
Okay, good luck. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
so
thank you. I want to thank you both for coming and for working with us, because ladies, it's like, did you say it was like 4:30 a.m. where you are?
Yes, it's 5.
Oh yes, it's 5. So yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
And,
Franci.
but Sarah, I think it's going to stay. So guys, I really love the plot of both of your shorts.
Thank you.
It's really nice. And so goodbye to everyone, and good interview for the rest of it.
Thank you.
Grazie, Fra. Grazie, Fra.
Bye.
Sentiamo.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, so Gurinder, question: how did you decide to cast? How did you? Yeah.
Casting, yeah, it took some time, but I'm very happy with how we cast everyone. But it was a tough thing to do. We did casting calls. In some cases, I actually reached out to some actors I knew of, and to see if they would be interested. The child actor was the most difficult to cast.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, because it was tough to find someone. Yes, I mean, child actors are just tough. You know, sometimes it's that balance of like overacting or not acting, and then of course like the parents, and trying to get someone who's willing to put in the time to do the readings. So that was tough, and that age too was tough. And then the mother was also very tough. I knew that I wanted Ami as the lead actor, the lead. Few months, like when I started writing it, I was thinking of her, but then I had reached out to her, she had reached back, like it was just like we kept missing each other. And then I had already did a casting call for it, and there were several other actors who had submitted tapes, and then that we found someone, we casted somebody. I say we, but it was like a lot of it was just kind of at the end, like it was me and one of my producers was helping me at the time, and Ami had to go out of town. I think she was in New Zealand, so we ended up casting somebody else, and then that just didn't work out. So 8 days before the start, I asked Ami, I was like, is there any chance you're still like free to be able to do this? And she jumped on, and it worked out. She's a mother herself, and she's experienced some things that are in the film, in some relationships that she's had. So she was just perfect for it. She's just great to work with. And so I think for me, because I'm a first time director too, so it was like, okay, how do I work with actors who are, they can take direction. And for me, it was like, okay, I think the personality and the ability to work with others was more important. And then they all shone. I mean, I'm so happy with everybody's performance. And then it was just, yes, it was just a matter of speaking with them as people, and then doing a lot of the readings with them to see who would work out. But I mean, I was surprised. I mean, like, she got on board just 8 days before, and then even the child actor too. That was also a role that had to be recast for certain reasons, and so it was interesting and challenging, but yeah, I'm very happy with how it all turned out.
Very much glad it all came together. Yeah, that sounds. I wouldn't have guessed you were a first time director, frankly.
Yeah, first time. But loved it. I mean, loved it. It's been stuff that I've been working towards, filmmaking. I mean, it's always been an interest of mine for several years. Actually, since I was a child, since my parents had this video store, so I was like in love with film from a very young age. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to ask a follow-up question on the video store, but yes, Sarah, can I ask you like a question?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you just wanted to listen, or I just typed a question in the chat. I'm curious as to how did you cast your lead actor? I'm not sure if
how I choose actor. Okay. I want to precisate that for this project we always researched friends or people that were available to help us student. So this kind of actor is an architect and is play theater for passion. And I found him while a teacher, and he was happy to help me. And we enjoy together with troupe. We were happy to work together, but I appreciated the fact that he is an architect, not an actor, and he decided to help a student for passion.
Thank you. And
thank you.
And Nicola, yes, back to the more lighthearted stuff, I guess we should say. I'm also curious as to it wasn't just the kids in your film that were like these larger than life characters. As you mentioned, the guy who played the dad, and everyone who's watched your film knows who that is. How did you find that guy? Because also he just seemed to burst from the screen too.
He does. I know him because I think I mentioned in passing that he's a puppeteer, which is something I used to do professionally for. I did that for about 6 or 7 years, and I just met him by complete happenstance back when I was performing, because you meet other puppeteers. There are just not very many. And, you meet everybody in town. And for that matter, you meet people across the world who do that, because there are just, possibly a couple hundred. There are not that many. I mean, I
imagine
1,000 tops maybe in the world. I don't know. It's small numbers. And even though I don't do that anymore, I still, I know all these people who have somehow these connections to this world of puppets. And Jonathan, who plays the father, I kind of had in mind, I think I kind of had his face in mind when I was writing that thing, because I was just like, I don't know if this guy can burp on command, but I know that he can do the movie. He can't. Obviously, we dubbed that in with a big monster sound, but, it was funnier anyway. It fit the film.
Most definitely. Yeah, I'm glad you found an actor who could, do it all.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I mean, we weren't gonna like not cast him if he couldn't. So
Yeah. Generous. Thank you. And Gurinder, why did you decide to make such an intense film for your directorial debut?
Yeah,
I mean, what a way to start to kick
I
things off. A film about this topic during a pandemic.
Yeah, I think it was just probably what I was going through at the time in my life. I was in more of a, not a dark, I wouldn't say dark space, but it was just more of a serious note. But the next film that I want to make is not going to be intense. Like I'm actually working on a more of a comedy, something that's lighthearted, because it's tough. I mean, it's tough to go through all those emotions with the actors. With all the takes that you do, it's just really tough emotionally. But yes, so it's probably a rookie mistake. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine it was tough. So the comedy thing is a relief.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And Sarah, I've just asked in the chat, I cannot picture this movie in color, but I have to ask, did you even ever think about filming in color rather than black and white?
Okay, why I choose color and not black white, right? No.
Did you ever think about seriously think about filming in color rather than black and white?
I'm not sure to understand. It's my problem and all.
Well, if you want to...
I'm finding the equivalent of this. 1 second.
Yeah.
What was the question? Did you ever think of translating
filming in color?
I'm sorry, of translating, of filming in color.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. In color instead of black.
Thank you.
It's okay. This is why this exists. My Italian is bad, so I'm not going to say it. But
like my English.
No, I mean, like, it actually doesn't exist. Okay. 1 second. I put in the chat. You see?
Yes, like I should.
Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you, Nicola.
Okay. I should have just done that. Yeah.
No,
maybe
you're thinking of a lot of things.
Maybe the opposite. Why I choose color 10 black and white.
Not exactly, because I can't picture the film in color, but
No.
But no, okay. My film is in color. It's not black and white.
Yes, I guess so. But you incorporate black and white, and it feels incomplete. I feel like it would feel incomplete without that black and white aesthetic. I guess I'm sorry. I'm not expressing myself well.
No.
Okay, so why did you film the way you did, with the color?
Why I choose color?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's leave it at that.
I have to admit that this kind of script of Fellini, if I remember, he imagined in black and white, for example. But I always, when read the book, imagine with color, and I admit that everything. We think in color. So for me, black and white is a sort of fake, and I have to be. I have to seem real, like reality. So color.
I see.
Help Francesca.
Yeah, and yet, like I said, whenever I think of your film, I think of the black and white parts of it, which is why I asked the question. It's so weird, even though it is mostly in color. So that's understandable. That translates. Sorry. Grazie.
Sorry, if you write here in chat, I can try to translate.
I think you answered the question.
Okay, I hope.
Again, sorry. All right.
No, sorry.
No. Okay. Gurinder, Gurinder, I'll ask this question. Like, was it really hard with a child actor? Like you mentioned, it was hard for him too, filming this intense scene. Like,
Yeah.
how did you kind of manage that?
Yes, the intensity was tough for the child actor. So it was actually just working with him from beforehand. And his mom was there too, so she helped me. But in some cases, I actually had to take him out. Like I would actually play games with him. And then to bring him back into the scene because it became too intense. And it was also like I couldn't rehearse the scenes with him too frequently because it became really intense for him. And it was really tough for him to sustain it as well. So some of it was, it was just, it was definitely tough for him. But it helped having his mom there. It also helped with us, like just having developed that rapport. Like I met with him beforehand so that he could get comfortable with me. And it was also, in trying to use more of like the Meisner type method of acting and trying to explain to him, like, this is how we're going to get that emotion from you. Like, thinking of something similar, but not necessarily, imagining, it was like different strategies of using with him. And then also making sure we didn't over rehearse because that was, it was intense for sure. And so in some cases, actually we only did like one maximum, like two takes for a shot. The most intense one, we didn't even get different angles just because, it was tough for him to do it. Of course, find out in the editing room, like, oh gosh, I wish we had more angles, but it was, it's that trade-off of how do you get that intensity from the child actor. And then of course,
Yeah.
And then also like the shooting wise too, making sure that we're shooting some of, like where we're placing it throughout the day. So that, okay, understanding, how is he in the morning? How is he in the afternoon? And where do we place that shot? So that if it's the intense one, do we do it towards the end of the day and then like he goes home? Or, is it going to be in the beginning because he's going to be more refreshed? And I think we chose the former. It was a bit better to do some of the lighthearted ones and then the intense ones and then he can go home and relax and play video games or whatever he was doing.
Yeah, it's a tough balance. So yeah, congrats on striking it so well.
Oh.
And Nicola, I skipped you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No. That is my fault. And after you did such good translation as well.
It's all Google Translate, not me.
Yeah.
I do this for French for a living. I cannot do it for Italian to save my life. So I didn't continue those Italian lessons after middle school. I wish I had.
And I never studied it, so.
I did, but I remember nothing. This is the sad part.
Yeah.
Also me. So with the languages I studied, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll direct my next question at you. I am curious how you guys came up with that pageant routine at the end.
I have a wonderful choreographer. Her name is Gia Doxy, and I'm not a choreographer. I knew what I had in mind, but I could only say, hey, here's the basic idea I have. Now you do this. And so, this was her first real choreographing job. I think she was 24 at the time she did this film. She was real young. She was just out of college. And I remember going over to her apartment and she had a big plate of cheese and strawberries and stuff. And I was like, wow, you're treating me. I came over here to watch what you had made for me. And she's like, it was so sweet. Anyway, we became good friends, and she had made up this dance to this song Les Cornichons basically on the day. I think she had worked out this whole thing, and it was so ridiculously fun. And I was just like, this person. And she was also really instrumental in getting the actors to have the chemistry with each other that they had, because we did dance rehearsals before we ever did anything else. We had this huge luxury of treating this thing, because this is this no budget short film, we had this luxury of having these actors come in for rehearsals that they were not being compensated for. You wouldn't be able to do
Oh,
this
wow.
in other circumstances, but here are these kids who, they want to be doing this. Their parents, are taking pictures of everything. Everybody's wonderful. We're all just giving our time and everybody wants to, and it's just sort of a unique situation.
That sounds like a wonderful situation,
It
though,
is,
especially
it
on a
is.
film set.
So we rented this, crap studio in Midtown and in New York, and it was great. And the families would bring in snacks, and we did these dance rehearsals with Gia sort of leading the charge and me sitting there and looking thoughtful and really not having to do anything. And at the end of the session, we sometimes that was so instrumental. I don't think she realizes in having those kids connect to each other the way they ultimately did.
Mhm.
And then in the end, at the end of the rehearsals, we sometimes had a bit of time left over, at which point I would think, oh, well, why don't we go to the script? And so I actually got to rehearse them. Here's this incredibly valuable additional thing we got to do, which is actually have them rehearse through the scenes. And that's when David, who played this role of Biff, that's when everything that he had inside of him suddenly sprang to the fore. He was trying so hard to dance right, and he was very, facing inward, making sure to get everything correct. And then he was just so funny when he started reading. I was like, he's got this. This kid is very worried about getting things exactly right. But oh my
Yeah, I would
goodness,
never have pegged him as an introvert, like judging
he's
from the
such
film.
an introvert. But it's always the introverts, it's always the introverts who come out and they're just crazy on stage and on screen, and they kind of leap off the screen at you, and their energy is sort of hits you between the eyes, and then you see them in person, they're like, oh, hi, how are you? It's always
Yeah, a lot of times it is. So yeah,
it's a weird
definitely.
contradiction, human behavior, personality. I'm not a psychologist. I noticed
Waiting
that.
waiting for their chance, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think it's that. I think there's a lot of comedians comedians and people who do things that are sort of big and by nature brave and loud, and they're actually in their personal lives they're like anything but that.
Most definitely.
It's an outlet.
And yeah, that answers my next question. That answers the next question I was going to ask you, what the mood was like on set, which I could guess. But I'd like to ask this simple last question to Sarah. Yeah, I did the Google Translate this time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to everyone for helping me.
Also have thumbs up. Can't see, but
thank you. It was very nice. I was for the first time very happy because I was with people that trust in me. We were a few people. We were 7. And but we enjoy together to create this work for me. And the most important thing, because I noticed that I I don't understand your first question. We
my bad.
sorry, we worked together, the actor and me, because also I play in my short film. So we were really strong together. All troupe helped us to create a good atmosphere, and also Maya D helped the actor and also me to create the right atmosphere, the right how can I say yes, atmosphere too, because the most important thing and the most difficult was create this backstage a fake. The backstage is not a fake, so this was very difficult, and I think that so it was difficult, but my troupe helped me, everyone, to and collaborate to create this, and so we were happy, and it was a beautiful experience, short but very beautiful for me.
Yes, it sounds quite nice. Thank you. And Gurinder, same question. What was the mood like on set?
Oh, it was amazing. It's that feeling when you have everybody on set working towards the same goal.
Lovely.
It was just amazing. I love being on set. I'm addicted now. Everybody was just, it didn't matter what they were supposed to do. Like if something needed to get done, they would just jump in, and people, like it was just a team atmosphere. It was a family. People were laughing and just having a great time working together. It was great. Like I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Even now, like we have sometimes we all meet up because everybody just became friends and bonded.
That sounds like the best case scenario. So yeah, congrats. I know you had to work hard and recast to get there, like you said.
Yeah, so worth it though. So worth it. We had such a great team.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, since Nicola answered two of my questions and we're coming up on the end of our hour, I just want to ask everybody to shout out their upcoming projects. And Sarah, I know you did previously, so I want to ask again, just as a reminder.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, this about another short film I would really realize from a novel of Dino Buzzati. But actually I work to my dad's studios. I work like a video editor or a camera assistant. He's a photographer. But I hope to realize some other project with always with this genre, with dramatic and not mockumentary, but this kind of where fiction and the reality is blurred.
Thank you, and yeah, fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
And Nicola?
I have so I'm between projects at the moment. So Biff, we think this is Biff and me's last festival stop. Because of COVID, the festival run for both Biff and my prior short film, Gabrielle, which was also at Film Girl, I guess a year ago.
2020, I think.
Yeah, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, because we didn't have a film fest in 2021. We skipped it so we could have it in March rather than the fall.
Right. Okay. So 2 years or a year and a half. Anyway, not interesting. But my point is because I was going over those dates. But anyway, those two had weirdly long festival runs because of the pandemic, and Biff and Me has actually gotten quite old as a result, as festival films go. It's nearly 3 years old. So in the time since then, I shot a feature which will debut at an as yet unnamed film festival this summer, and so I'm happy about that. And my next project is it's in development. It's coming along.
Wonderful. Yeah. Also, good luck to you as well.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Gurinder.
Yes. So I am in the very, very early stages of a couple of projects. One is a short, and then the other is the feature. So it'll be my first feature, and that's the one that I've been focusing more on. And it's a buddy comedy. So it's like it's after this intense short, I definitely want to do something that's comedy. But just like this particular film, like I want to hit on issues that that aren't talked about or discussed usually, and kind of hit on them in a funny way. It's kind of like what Nicola you're doing. So that's kind of the path I want to follow.
Balance.
Yeah. And comedy is a great way to do that.
Yeah. It's a relief now too, because I just feel
I can imagine.
Like you just want, after the last couple of years that everybody's gone through, it's like, worldwide, I was just finding that just entertainment for the pure entertainment standpoint is like something light and easy to watch. I think.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes, we've all been hungry for that, especially now, I think.
Yeah.
So Yes, and that's pretty much almost an hour exactly. So thank you, grazie to everyone for being a
Thank
part
you
of
so
the
much.
festival this year and
Fun.
showing up.
Thank
Grazie.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
Happy
having
birthday again, Andrea.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, happy birthday.
Oh,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday.
Yes, happy birthday today.
You
So yes,
were very nice with me and with this problem of English. Thank you very
You were
much.
great,
Not a
Sarah.
problem.
our pleasure.
And good luck to everyone for everything.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
nice
nice meeting all
everybody.
of you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, everyone.
you.
Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Andrea.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Andrea.
Bye.